Hey everybody, how's it going? Ian Grant with Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior coming to you on Monday night. Every Monday I try to do at or around 8:15. And tonight I look tired because I stayed up and watched the Boston Celtics game last night, which is way past my bedtime. And of course they lost. So I kind of feel like it was all for naught. But what are you going to do? I'm a huge NBA fan, by the way. It's one of those things. It's kind of my guilty pleasure. I watch it a lot. Probably maybe too much, but I enjoy it. So what are you going to do? And it's Boston, and went to a game this winter and just had a great time. So I had to stay up. It was Game 7 against LeBron James, yada, yada, yada. You guys didn't come here to hear about that. So anyways, tonight, you guys, we've got some good questions. As always, you guys always come through when I need you to with some great questions. And we're going to cover tonight, I'm going to try to do more than 3 of them. That's kind of my goal. 3's been the number, but I think there's a couple here that I can get through. We will see. We've got dogs that are afraid of a specific type of person, structure, build, all that fun stuff. We've got play between 2 puppies, being too aggressive. We've got an e-collar question, and we've got the food question, raw bones, raw hides, that kind of stuff, which I put as a title because I thought that would catch some attention. I don't know if we've really talked about that too much, so that's a good one. So for all you guys saying hi back to you, and thank you for joining me. I'm so thrilled and humbled that you guys do this with me every Monday night. So before we get started, you guys, I'm sure you saw my post this morning. Myself and Paula Bergeron are coming together for a one-day workshop in New Hampshire, New England Canines and Culture. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff from, we're each going to take basically part of the day. She's going to take morning time. I think I'm going to take afternoon time. I may step in the morning and do a couple of evaluations, what we look for with dogs. And you guys, I'm there strictly, I don't want to say strictly, I think the majority of why I'm there is for the socializing piece, which I love, by the way. I'd much rather be in a social setting than one-on-one with a dog, even though I can certainly help with both. But Paula does a lot of kind of group training from what I've seen. And, of course, if you guys don't know, she was on my podcast. Had a great time with her. I mean, she's right next door in New Hampshire, and we just thought that this would be just a good time and a good way to come together, help people out in the New England area, and I'm looking forward to it. So we're really only a couple of months out from that, and if you guys want more information, you can go to that Facebook page, New England Canine and Culture. It's on my Facebook page. You can get a link there, and let us know that you're going. I'm not sure how many spots are left. If you want to bring your dog, you guys will have to email Paula. She's handling the registration process of everything. And you guys, it's only $50 to bring a dog if there's still space, which is dirt cheap in the dog training workshop world. And when I say dirt cheap, I mean dirt cheap, like underground dirt cheap, really cheap. And if you just want to come and watch, hang out for the day, it's only $25, you guys, for the day. We're going to be there about 9 to 4, 9 to 5. Tons of information with dogs. It's going to be a lot of fun. I enjoyed having Paula on my podcast. She was great. I think what she called herself an oldie but a newbie or something like that, which I thought was very cool. She hasn't been training for too long, but she's definitely passionate about what she does, and I can't wait to kind of work alongside her. This is the first time I've actually had this opportunity to work with another trainer, and I'm looking forward to it. She wants to learn a lot more about our socials, and she's actually going to come up to observe one of the socials that I do in June, which should be a lot of fun. And then we'll be doing that down there at her place too. So, and for those of you locally, our socials start this Wednesday too. 2 more nights. We're very excited about it, and the weather looks great, and that's even better. So let's get started tonight, you guys. So here are a couple of questions. The first question is from Ashley Jellin, who had said she's got a dog that's afraid of a specific type of person. For example, a male and tall people. You guys, and I get that a lot. I get the hat. I get the sun. The person with a hat on, the person with the sunglasses on, the tall person. Funny part is, I used to have a dog way back before I knew what I know now. He was a Husky Shepherd mix named Bear, who only growled at people that smoked. As soon as he walked up to him and sniffed him, and you could kind of pick him out of a crowd, he'd smell him, and he backed up and he would start to growl. It was kind of, I look back at it now, I'm like, man, I should have done some tracking with him. So it's one of those things. So Ashley, so here's a little bit more information. Someone broke into our house and now he's afraid of tall men with short hair or people in hoodies. Yeah, that is a big deal. A really big deal. Somebody strange in his environment. That's... You completely just took me out of left field from my train of thought of what was going to happen here to answer that question. I'm assuming he was probably petrified out of his mind, and that's a tough thing to get over for a dog because, originally I was going to say, hey, here's how you can work on desensitizing it, but you guys, that's just one of those situations that just kind of happens, and that's a tough situation for a dog to go through. Some dogs will jump right up on that, table or couch and bark at those people breaking into your house, and other dogs will run and hide. So it's you never know what you're going to get out of that. Ashley, I don't know what to suggest. I'm going to be straight up and honest. Because I don't know if you want to, counter condition that at all. Obviously you don't want to get your house broken into again and, condition your dog to be okay with them. I don't know. That's a tough situation. Because chances are, if it happens again, people are going to be wearing the same thing. Tall people with hoodies, sunglasses, whatever the case may be. That's like I said, that's a tough situation to be in. When I do to an extent because he's afraid of some family members. Okay, well, I think it's important that those family members don't put any pressure on him. Meaning, they can't walk right in and just walk right up to him and just try to be his friend. It doesn't work that way. That's putting too much pressure on him. He's already, a nervous or scared dog if he's already moving away and doesn't like them. So I would honestly start taking him for walks with that person on the other side of you. So dog is on your right, person is on your left. Go for a while and just walk, okay? Just get him used to that person and do a couple of walks. And it's really, you guys, it's really important to have those people that your dogs are afraid of are not allowed to approach your dog. Period. That's the rule. Don't put that pressure on him, even if it's with a treat. That treat, if that dog is so scared, is not going to make a bit of difference going into that whole situation. I don't believe it is. That's putting pressure on it. Okay, here, you're so scared that I'm going to try to give you this treat when already you're backing away from me. I don't get that. I don't. I've also heard, take the food and throw it at their feet. If that dog is so scared that it's not going to get near that person, food may not matter either. It's just one of those situations. So, actually, I hope that helps a little bit. You may want to seek out some professional help here, maybe to get some ideas of what kind of goals that you want out of that situation. I'm so sorry it happened. I'm sorry it happened to your dog. That's a complete bummer. It's just, it really is. I'm sorry to hear that. So Mary Schultz Black, her question, she's got a couple of 6-month-old puppies, and she wants to know when their play is getting too aggressive. She said she emailed me a video. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. So I think, play between two puppies, depending on breed or size, can look way different. You could have a couple of golden retrievers who are playing. It might be silent, quiet, and rough. Or you could have a couple of Shih Tzus play, and it sounds like they're trying to rip each other's throats out. So I think we have to look at intensity. That to me is the one word that sticks out, where it's just, what is too intense here? To me, if they're silent and they're just way overly physical with each other, meaning they're knocking each other over and just like football players, way too intense. We need to stop that, okay? If it is really loud, and there's like teeth and like they're growling stuff and they're not even touching, I mean, that can be intense too, but there's nothing actually going on. And I think, from an outside perspective looking in, when we have dogs that are playing or puppies that are playing, that's the first thing, is that intensity. And look, I've got, 10, 11 years of experience of this, which is still very young in this industry, in my opinion. Then I look at it from that perspective of, when I start to be like, hey, that's not fair, or that's not right, or I start to get that feeling in my stomach and my gut that it's just like, ooh, that's a little too much, that's when I step in. So Mary wrote, pugs, ay, ay, ay. They pull on each other's skin, but no breaking skin, growling, but wagging tails. Well, wagging tails can mean play. It can also mean I want to kill you, too, depending on the context. So we have to be careful with the whole wagging tails thing. Or with them, just their little nub, their little curly nub wagging around. So I don't like the pulling on each other's skin thing. You guys, we're really getting into the realm of sparring more than playing. And I think, there's the play, which is fun, and then for each other, and there's a good give and take of, hey, I'll be the dominant one in the play, or hey, I'll be the submissive one in the play, and they just have fun, and it's this great back-to-back type of play. And then you get into the sparring thing, where neither one of them is backing down, and sometimes they're both up on their back feet, and they're just jawing and yapping back and forth at each other. And you guys, sparring is a form of fighting, if you think about it. It's kind of that level or a couple levels down from it. So that's where that intensity has, peaked way too high for what's going on. So I'm not a big fan. If they start pulling on each other's skin, I'd probably break it up. Whether it's a clap or a hey or whatever you want to do, just loud enough to knock it off. Get them to break for a second. You'll probably see them do the wet dog shake. Like, okay, we got to let go of that for a little bit. 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds later, they may come back into it and start playing again. And if it starts to get rough, you move in again and you break it up again. So ideally, over time, the goal is to create that cap of how high their intensity can get, to make sure that they don't go up and over that. So it's something that you got to supervise. It's something that you got to be on top of. And if they're playing, you got to be there every time too. You can't look at it from the aspect of, I'm just going to let them go and do their thing, even if they're pulling. Like yesterday, I corrected it. Today, I'm not going to, because then you're sending mixed signals. And you got to be careful of that. The communication has to be consistent, whether it's through play, whether it's how you walk them, how you feed them, everything. Their whole world wants that consistency and that structure. So that's, Mary, that's where I'm coming from with that. I'll take a peek at that video when I get a second and let you know. But video always helps you guys, that's for sure. So Hisham Kanawati asked, it was something along the lines of teaching the heel command to a dog with an e-collar. And Hisham, I don't know if you're watching, I don't know what kind of knowledge you have or anything along those lines with an e-collar, but that e-collar has to be trained to the dog correctly before we start training a heel command. So I don't want to go right out with a dog with e-collar and try to teach a heel command when they don't know what the tool means to them. I think we have to go through that process first. I think we want to set that dog up for success so they know exactly what we want out of that. The other part of this is, let's say you have all that done, teaching the heel command with a remote, the timing has to be impeccable. I think it's also important to not only teach the e-collar to your dog before that, so they're very well aware of what you're asking, but I think we also want to have a strong heel command, which you guys that listen to me and watch me and the videos and everything, you've probably never seen me have a dog, quote, heel. So I'm probably not the best guy to look up to see about teaching heel with an e-collar. I will be the first to admit it. I'm not that type of trainer where I'm going to actually say the word heel and teach the dog to walk next to me, because I feel like there should be that nice give and take of, okay, this is when we need structure. You're going to get some free time, but we're going to get more structure than freedom, and I'm going to have the dog, work for it. So that's where I am coming from with that. You guys, Larry Crone has a ton of videos on YouTube, and I believe I've seen or I've come across one that he actually teaches that, although I don't know if it's with an e-collar or not. And again, heel is heel. It's next to you. I mean, you can certainly teach a dog to walk next to you with a remote, and it may not look as professionally as heel, like in-ring work and high-level obedience, but it's molding those two worlds together. So I would honestly probably pass you on to somebody like a Larry Crone video to watch, something along those lines, because they're pretty good at it. You can also look up Learberg stuff too. I think they may have something along those lines as well. So, and now Kelly, this is really what it all kind of comes down to. She brought up the whole comment about food, raw bones, raw hides, treats, all sorts of that kind of fun stuff. And you guys, food is really one of those aspects of dog training that I didn't think would be a part of dog training way back when I first started. We've got a nutrition guide that we hand out with our board and train clients as well as our training class clients as well. And it's not to point out, hey, this is what you're doing wrong with your dogs, and this is what you're feeding, and you're feeding them wrong, and you're not doing the right structure and all this. I never want to come across to a client or to you guys like that, by the way. So please, I never want to be the person that's looking down my nose saying you guys are doing everything wrong. My purpose, my motivation is to just educate you. I just want to, download the information that I have, giving it to you guys so you guys make that decision, whatever it is, that you feel is best for you and your dogs. So I think we'll touch on some raw bones and raw hides and stuff before we get into the big picture of food, because I could totally sit here and talk about food for an entire night, I think. So raw bones, you guys, first, like the raw marrow bones you can get at the store, usually in your meat section, that still have clumps of meat and fat on them, are fantastic for your dog to chew on. Just please make sure, cleanliness, we got to keep things clean wherever the bone's been, that kind of thing. The times that I've given it to my dogs, I usually give it outside in the yard, and they gnaw on those for quite some time. It's my understanding that them chewing on one of those raw bones is the equivalent of brushing their teeth every day for a couple of weeks. I don't have the scientific data to back that up. It's just something that I've heard from a number of different trainers, all with about that same message. And I remember one of the first boarding dogs I had come to me here in my house was for a month, and I had to brush that dog's teeth twice a day for a month. He didn't like it, and I liked it less. Let's just put it that way. It was not enjoyable to me at all. And a learning curve, I guess you could say, right? Hey, I'm going to board dogs. I'm going to start a daycare. This is going to be fun. Here's our dog. He's got 2.5 pages of commands. You have to brush his teeth. I'm like, what? It was just one of those situations that I'm like, I just wanted to hang out with dogs and walk dogs, and here I am trying to keep track of this guy's, dental history and just short of floss his teeth. Like, my gosh. So, anyways, raw bones are really good for their teeth. It's going to keep them clean. It's very primal activity if you think about it too, right? Them chewing on a bone. Maybe they're going to go bury it, whatever the case may be. But it's really good for your dogs. The times that I've given it to my dogs have been on the days that I actually will fast my dogs. Yes, there's a day of the week that I don't feed my dogs to let their stomachs rest, which I'm still learning more about. Kind of dug in a little deeper the last couple of days with this kind of thing. But I'm learning more, as I'm always trying to educate myself. So the days that I don't feed my dogs, I have in the past given them a raw bone to kind of gnaw on and chew on. So it's kind of a special treat for them. They still get something in their belly, but yet it still fulfills that urge for them to just chew and gnaw and really use their teeth on stuff. So that's really where that goes with the raw bones. I just make sure you don't get the medallions, you guys. Don't get the small like little disc ones, because those can end up getting caught, and we don't need huge bones like that in our dogs' bellies, because that I don't know what would do, but all I can think of is it's going to get lodged and cause problems. So treats, you guys, this is, when it comes to treats, I would just make sure that it's a good treat. None of the byproducts, anything like that, the animal byproducts, it can just get really nasty where some of that food comes from. I mean, really nasty. And when I mean nasty, well, I'll maybe throw that onto the food. Little teaser there for you for a second. Just make sure that the treats don't have any grains in it, any corn, any of just the crap filler stuff that they don't need. I think there's just too much of that out there. It's getting better. I mean, look at some grocery stores. The food that they're starting to sell is starting to get a little bit better. You still get your crap kibbles and bits and Gravy Train, Beneful, which is like just straight up junk food for your dog. So I think it's important that we look at the ingredients, you guys, and look past the first ingredient, the second, third, fourth, fifth. Look way beyond that. I think it was, the food came out, and then it got to the point where we have to make sure that first ingredient is a protein. Yeah, let's look at the rest of it. And I think it's that much more important even with treats as it is food. We look at food and go, okay, that first ingredient has to be a protein, but let's, when we get treats, we can just throw it out the window. No, it's all a part of it, you guys. We've got to make sure what we're doing with them is consistent, not only with what we're providing them structurally, behaviorally, environmentally, but also nutritionally as well. And it's one of those things. And you guys, if you don't know, which I think there's probably a good amount of you that probably do, pumpkin is an excellent additive to the foods when your dog has an upset stomach. It's really, really good. Make sure you get like a pureed pumpkin, not the pumpkin pie stuff. Stay away from that. It's got all that sugar and everything that a dog doesn't need. The pureed pumpkin. If you're finding that their stomachs are getting a little upset, sometimes a little spoonful of that will help, depending on the size of your dog. And go from there. Mary Lou, that's great. Using your own dog's kibble as a treat, that's fantastic. Your dog's getting some of their food at a different time. There is zero wrong with that. Zero. Absolutely. So, all right. So I'm going to give you a very, very abbreviated version on food for tonight. This is what I can give you. It's a website called dogfoodadvisor.com. I would go there and I would plug in your food. I think that website is a great starting point to learn about your dog's food. It ranks everything on a 5-star system. And you guys, a 5-star dog food, there's some out there that will break your wallet, and there's some out there that won't. Taste of the Wild is a 4 to 5-star dog food, and it is usually around the $50 mark for a 30-pound bag. You get into the Origins and that kind of food, some of those foods get over $100 or $120 for a dry 30-pound bag of food. So you have to, find what works best for you and go that route. So you guys, the research that I have done on dog food, and I implore you to look up the name Rodney Habib. And I think it's Dr. Karen Becker. They have done more for the dog food world than anybody that I know. And I think that would be an awesome podcast too. And I may reach out to them to see if they'd be interested. One of them. And Barbara, yes, they have great notices for recalls. And by the way, you guys, this is Barbara DeGroot. She was also on my podcast. She's like Mrs. Rottweiler, by the way. Barbara, I hope you don't mind me saying that. And that she was an excellent podcast too. So Barbara, thank you for joining us. This is awesome. But you guys, looking at food, look past that first ingredient. You have to. Some of the stuff you will see, like a meat byproduct or a poultry byproduct or an animal protein or something along those lines. You guys, one of the things that I had looked up, and it might have been animal protein or animal byproduct or something like that. Sometimes that can include euthanized animals. Sometimes that includes the processed like feet and beaks of birds and that type of thing. And sometimes what they do is they take all those extra pieces, parts that aren't used. It's all boiled down into an extremely hot liquid, meaning all those parts are turned into nothing other than liquid. And then they pump that liquid into a tank. And then they take that tank and they spray that meat protein all over the food. And that's where that dog is getting its protein. So it can get really nasty, gross when it comes to that type of stuff. And again, you have to do your homework when it comes to it. Go to the website, dogfoodadvisor.com. You'll see a search button probably somewhere, or you can look up your food alphabetically. Find your food, read about it, okay? We don't need any more of the kibbles and bits. We don't need the Benefils. I'm probably going to make some enemies here, but this is kind of my opinion. I don't think that Purina is that good of a dog food, but that's just me, my opinion. I'm not trying to start any fights here. It's like talking about religion or politics. I have no interest in getting into that subject. IAM's not great. There's just a lot of get away from the Alpos, the pedigrees, all that kind of stuff, you guys. I mean, you're feeding your dogs just some rancid stuff. And go to your feed store if you've got one, and ask them, hey, I want to find a good grain-free dog food for my dog. And look into it there. Fran, I would ask you to do the same thing. You guys, it's so easy for me to sit here and you guys fire out names of foods. It'd be easy for me to sit here and say, not a good food, not a good food. You're going to learn more. Yes, I'm sending you to the website because I want you to see how that works and how they break down all the ingredients and telling you reading about it from there. So, Fran, I will be feeding my dog Signature. It's an all stages food for puppies. And I get my puppy on Saturday. I'm so excited. So by this time next week, maybe she will, throw in a cameo while I'm doing this with you guys. Because I've got a nice little spot, I think, down here that I can just kind of tether her to. And maybe she can hang out here with me and do the live stream. And you guys can check her out while we're doing this. So it should be lots and lots of fun. Actually went and saw her this weekend. You guys probably noticed that as I put up a ton of pictures of her from the 1 week old right up till where she is now. So we're very excited. Saturday afternoon we get her, and then we'll be going from there. Fran, I'll be giving her a Signature, which again is the all stages. So she is a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog. So here's some more information, you guys, from Barbara. Check your food periodically because as companies are bought by corporations, the ingredients change. Yay, puppy breath. Oh yeah, I know. You know what I'm more excited about though, you guys, is that this is the first time I'm getting a puppy as a trainer. So I'm excited to put the work in with the puppy of stuff that I've been suggesting, this whole time. And you guys, if I'm struggling with her with anything, I'm going to let you guys know about it because being a trainer, we're not immune to puppy stuff. Just because we're trainers doesn't mean we're not going to go through the chewing. We're not going to go through the housebreaking. We're not going to go through any of that stuff. But my plan is to let you guys know how it's going too. And if there's been a couple of days without any accidents or anything like that, we're going to see how it is. If I'm up 5 times a night for the first few nights, I'm up 5 times. I'm not going to go live on those nights, by the way. every time, but it's just one of those things. I have a game plan of what I want to do, and I think some daycare mixed up with all sorts of breaks throughout the day and some training, I think will be fun. So I'm excited. That's for sure. So next week, you got to make sure. I'll probably even title the live stream something like My New Puppy or something like that. And so I'm excited. This should be so much fun. So much fun. And you guys, I got a lot of videos on YouTube too. And I think that's probably where I will be putting a lot of the stuff of... and by the way, her name's going to be Gemma. That's where I'm going to be putting up a lot of the stuff of kind of documenting her story as she grows. She's about 20 pounds at like 7 weeks, 8 weeks, so she's not going to be tiny. It won't be long before I won't be able to pick her up and hold her. But anyways, you guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight. If you want to learn more about the workshop in New Hampshire, just go to that post that I put up this morning for the New England Canines and Culture workshop with Paula Bergeron, and it should be a lot of fun. So check that out. And in the meantime, you guys, I will see you next week. Lots of fun stuff happening. My shadow program starts next week, and we'll be doing all sorts of fun stuff there. So you guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week with Gemma. See you guys.